Well, as you can see, we're still struggling with some internet. That has been a big problem for us. But I figured while we're waiting for that, before we can go live, why not get another Canvas Stories in here real quick for you guys. And today I got something special because we've been through so many struggles lately. We're going to talk about a situation where it was a bit of a struggle. And it reminds me of something a picture I've seen that I'm going to try to recreate a moment in time. And that's what we do here at Canvas Stories. We try to recreate as well as teach you a few things. Or maybe you already know them, or maybe you just like to watch this to relax. So we've already pre-primed our canvas with some liquid white, and without further ado, why don't we head over to the canvas and start painting. So today we're going to start with our sky, and for that we're going to take a little bit of that, I think it's a burnt umber. So I'm just going to take a little bit here and just work a little bit into my brush here. This is nice and bright color, and all I'm going to do is just kind of swirl that around a little bit. And all I want to do is just kind of, with the brush dirty like that, I actually kind of want to just take a little bit of this, a little more of this yellow, and really try to bring out a little bit more of that. Just working that in there like so. There we go. So we have that bright sky kind of look. Yeah, that's a little bit better, what I'm looking for. I'm just trying to crisscross it all in together so it blends, but you can still see kind of the center of it. Then I think what we want to do, we want to make sure we get our blade here and just, I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of this red and mix it in with this yellow a little bit. So let's just pull a little bit of that aside, and you gotta be careful because you don't want to get too much, but all I want to do is get a nice little orange hue, and that's what I'm trying to mix up here. Just a little bit of orange to go right along the outside. All these are going to blend together because we got the liquid white underneath. And we're going to clean off our brush here, if Lily lets us by. Thank you, Lily. She likes to get right under my feet. There we go. Let's put that up there on our paper plate. Excellent. So now we got that little bit of orange there. And we just want to get with the same dirty brush and just kind of work our way around. Same type of format here. Let's use a little bit more of it on our thing. And just kind of work that in to our sky. And then maybe come back a little bit of that brownish color and work it in just a little bit more. And then be very careful, but we're going to take some of that red, straight red, and we're going to work on that a little bit. And don't worry if it looks like it's taking over the color there, because actually that's kind of what we wanted to do, but the color's not going to stay the same because of how we're going to work things a little bit here. Now we're going to take a little bit of that gosh. That's a Zarian. I think we can use a little of that too. But I think we're going to go with just a little bit of Van Dyke Brown. Instead of... we'll save that for the outside. We're going to just take a little sliver here. And... there we go. I'm just going to work down into my palette, clean off my knife, of course, with the same dirty brush. Get a good amount of that onto my palette and just kind of work that into my sky here. And let's not forget up top here. And just kind of work that around. And I think we're going to clean our brush real quick. So now, as you can see, we're going to just take a nice dry brush and we're just going to blend all this together. Nice and easy. And we want all these colors to mix in with that white. And I'm going to get the illusion of water on the bottom here. Because after all, what's a painting without water? I do love to put in water. And we're just going to, just nice and easily, blend these colors together. Just ever so easily with the brush. And we want it to be a little bit brighter. As you can see, it's kind of has that illusion of just the sun going down on a particular day. And we want to wipe this brush pretty consistently while we're doing this. So as you can see, I'm just wiping this off and just getting those darker colors into the highlight of the side here and just really meshing a lot of this together so it comes together very nicely. And you'll see what we're going for eventually. And on the bottom we want this dark sienna that we put in here to kind of highlight where we're going to have right here so it has that illusion. And you'll see what we're talking about when we get there. And just nice and easy. Let's bring this area up a little bit. First we'll clean this brush a little bit. I think if we take a little bit of, just a little bit of liquid white, really just ever so lightly. I got a little liquid white here on a thing, and I'm just gonna tap it in here and kind of just blend it in here. You can put as much as you want, but you kind of want to bring that brightness in and work it outwards. And again, just take it and work it. Kind of don't want to hit that area there. We don't want to lose what we just worked on. Maybe just a little bit more of that liquid white in the middle, just to really give you the sense of the time of day, because the way I remember the time of day. Just lightly with the brush, nice and lightly. Why do I talk soft when I paint? I don't know. Is it me? There we go. and just blend that outwards. Okay, so now we've got an area to work at. So now, let's start putting in our scenery like we want to. So, let's see. I think we have a little bit of this Van Dyke brown we can use here. Take some of this white, mix that in there. Actually, I think that's more Xerian red, which isn't bad. I kind of like it a little bit, but I might save that for a little bit later. Alright, well, let's add. Well, that's actually what I kind of was hoping I would get. I can add a little bit of that bright red if I want to. Maybe I just darken it up a little bit. A little bit of that Van Dyke brown. Because I know what I want. I want it, yeah, kind of right there. Because you want to make it seem like it's part of the lights hitting off everything that you're trying to reflect. Boy, I hope I remember how to do that. And, kind of like that. So, this is where you're going to learn a lot about mixing colors. And mixing colors is really what you're trying to accomplish here. So we got that. I kind of like that. Let's put this aside here. Actually, let's clean off our knife a little bit. I've already cleaned off my knife, cleaned off my face with a dirty rag, so thank God you guys aren't looking at me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fan brush, because I love my fan brush, and I'm just going to load that up on both sides. And what I'm going to do is push in here and bring up a little bit. Just a touch. Just bring that up just a hair. You don't want to bring it up too much because then it gives the illusion of... Load up that brush again. So all we wanted to do there was just kind of put just a little bit of eyeliner out there. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of, I just want to be careful with this red because this red's very strong. I'm going to take a little bit of that and mix it in with some of this liquid white. And that's all I want to do is just get myself a nice, and I'm using the liquid white on a paper plate so I don't overcome my whole palette. And then all I want to do, because I'm left-handed, this is always very difficult for me, but I like to come across here and just cut in there and just add just a little water line. That's all we want to do. Just get a little roll there and just add that in there. Just turn it up a little bit. Put that in on the edges there. However you see fit. And that works out. Once we get our island there, all we want to do is just take our brush and we want to pull, nice dry brush, pull down and very lightly. That's going to give us our water, our illusion that we are on the water. just doing that little simple thing and just going across. So we have an illusion of an island out there. Then, take our nice dry brush and put it over there. We're going to take our liquid white. And I put a little red, straight red in there. Because now all I want to do is add in a little bit of a water line. And if I have too much of a water line, you could just rub it in like so. Clear off and wipe off our brush. And we could just scrape it off, like right there. And just work it. Work it into the painting. And there we go. So now we got that in there. And we still have our very, very dirty brush, our fan brush, which I think I'm going to make. Oh geez, what do I want to do? Well, let's put, trying to remember how it was. Well, let's add a little more this dark color in here. I think that's going to be a little bit stronger. Just use our brush to work it in there. And let's be adventurous. Take some of that and make sure that we have plenty on our brush. Oh boy, here I go. Because I remember this island over here. And I'll explain it all to you sooner than later, that's for sure. Just adding value in here. And I'm making these a little closer so they look closer because they actually were closer. That's in the distance, and this is a lot closer. Let's add a little bit of that in there. Really try to work this in pretty good here. There we go, and just mix it away. Actually making a darker color. Not taking away. That looks alright, but that's not what I'm looking for. If I remember, there were a couple of big trees here that kind of blocked this all off, and I can pull that down. There's a little area here and some bushes in here, if I remember correctly. So what we're going to do is let's take some of that brown we were working with. Let's add in some green. We're going to put some big old trees in there. We're going to get a little bit of this Van Dyke brown. And maybe we'll add some of this midnight black to it because it's closer. Let's add a little more of that green. There we go. And that's what I'm looking for, is trying to get myself some good consistent color that I can work with. Yeah. That's just about it, I think. I think that's what I'm looking for. Well, let's just add a little bit more of that green. I don't know why I like that green. That green just really hits out because everything's green. Everything's green in this story. Well, towards the end of the day. Towards the end of this day. This is a day I will never forget as long as I live. Even as I make this color here, I'm just thinking of how I'm going to tell this story to you. As you know, we've been through so much adversity lately that I'm going to tell you a little story. So let's clean off our knife, so when we pick it up, we don't get everything all over ourselves. And that's the idea. Let's keep a clean area. So let's get our little fan brush again, and we're going to really put this in on both sides. Nice. Got to make sure there's a lot of paint on here, and you can see I think that's what I'm looking for. I hope so. I hope I can do this. I haven't done this in a long time. And there it is. And let's bring that tree all the way down. Let's bring that tree all the way down. And boy, that's a big one too. And that's a big tree. That's the way they were. That's the way they were there. Just big old. Taking up all our space. Evergreen trees. There are always so many of them. Always so many of them. And they're so beautiful to look at. I really enjoyed looking at those big, beautiful trees. Always so much character. Let's bring our foreground here a little bit better here. Push up and form a little bit more of a grassy area there in the background. And I'm sure there was another one here. Because there's always, where there's one, there's another. There's always another. We'll take our little knife here and just kind of dig out a few branches here. So you know where they are. And you know something? Let's see one more. I'll just come in here. Maybe this one isn't as prominent as the other one. Just kind of sits in the back there. Well, you gotta watch out, girl. That cat will get under your feet every single time. And I'll just add in just a little bit more there. And put that right there. I'll dig that out there. Oh, almost knocked that over. That would have been bad, huh? Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit more how I remember it. And this time, I can bring down this color. And ever so lightly, just bring it across. That's a little bit more like it. That's a little bit more how it looked. Maybe, if I remember correctly, there was one right here. Well, we started it, so now we have to finish it. Maybe it goes right off. Because the old saying, no paint, no painting. And it sits right in there. Maybe we'll bring it down just a little bit more. Really soak up that paint. Because this is a big girl. Surrounded by beautiful, beautiful bushes. And we'll just push those up in there. Matter of fact, I have another brush that I usually use for that. Let's wash these while we got a chance. So now we just kind of want to highlight these areas, bring them out, give everything a little depth and everything. So now, since we made such a nice mess of this palette here, we're going to take this yellow, and then we're going to take our green. We're just going to mix them together. Yeah, I kind of like that idea. And I want to leave it kind of marbly. I want to add a little Azurean red in here. And I want the green and the yellow. I don't want mud. And what I want to do here on the bottom is I'm going to take my round brush here. I'm just going to take a good amount of this and just kind of tap that in there. Work that in there with some of the browns. And just A little bit of that. And just give that illusion of the oops, I almost hit myself with that. And just break that up just a little, just hitting it so lightly. So I can just, and I'm not even hitting this hard, okay? All I'm doing is just getting enough on both sides and just giving, because you don't want to take away the darkness because of the time of day, and you don't want it to turn out to be mud. So just little highlights in there, just to give it just a little bit of what you're looking for. And all I'm doing, just hitting those areas, letting the brush decide what paint wants to come off of it. White to it. That's what we'll do. We'll grab a little bit of this liquid white and add it in there. That'll loosen it up nice. Boy, this is going to be a mess to clean up though. And just little things. Nothing. Just give it a little bit of, very lightly with that brush. Nice and easy. That way it just dances with the sunlight. So grab a little bit more of that white. I'll tell you, that white is a blessing. Because it's a very wet paint. That's the best way to put it. And it gives you just those little bit of things that you want throughout, especially on a big old tree like this. And I'm just ever so lightly just pushing up, just hitting certain areas. Maybe we'll just add a little here. Matter of fact, let's get our big brush to do that. Let's get our big brush to do that. So now, here's another thing that we're going to do. We're going to dance around our bushes here. But you think I would pound this. You don't want to. All you want to do is just ever so lightly just dance those bushes in there. You can add a little down here to the grass line. Take a little bit more of that liquid white, which I got hiding over here. Just have enough on your brush where you can kind of just add just little highlights. So we have that nice grassy area underneath these trees. And just add our bushes down here. And we'll just add our water line in. And we're pretty close to being where we want to be. That's for sure. And that's one way to drop your thing. Oh boy. Oh boy, I kill myself sometimes. Well, first thing we want to do is just, again, bring a little bit of this down so we get that in there. And then lightly come across. Same thing here. Nice and easy. We have this beautiful illusion of water. And we can add in our little water line here. Do is just give. It's all about illusions. We're just cutting in and just giving that illusion of a water line. Don't worry about getting too much in there. It'll scrape in there. You can make some go away. There we go. I think that's pretty much how I remember it. Like I said, it's a work in progress. Trying to get your skills back after a little bit takes a little time. We'll worry about cleanup later, but I think it's almost story time if you ask me. So let's zoom out and let's talk a little bit why I painted this painting particularly this way. So, another canvas stories in the back. Well, we have to tell why we drew this and made it this way. I'm still getting my chops back. It's going to take a couple paintings in before I can get my feel. It's getting that feel back and being able to create that makes it so hard. And we're getting there. It's going to take a little bit though. It's going to take a little bit of work, but I'll get there. I'll get there. I got to get a little neater, and that is the hard thing. But this was from my head, and I'll tell you why. We've been going through a lot lately between the Queen's sickness that is going on all year, and every time we turn around, something going wrong. The internet, some of the drama early in the year, my favorite stalker, God. And it made me think of all the stuff that we've overcome and how we continually overcome things. About, oh God, 15, 20 years ago, I don't know, somewhere in there, we lived up in Connecticut. And we were there for most of our lives. The Queen lived there all her life. I lived there most of my life, except for being in the service and so forth and so on. And things got tight at her job, and I requested a transfer because we decided that it was just too expensive to raise a bunch of kids in Connecticut, and she was a big fan of Florida, so we decided to go. Her job was only giving her 2 hours a week, and we were really struggling. And it was a tough time back then. I mean, real tough. Where we were squeezing every dollar we had. So we decided to pick up and come down to Florida. Now, this particular day was my last day in Connecticut. There was a park near our home It was called Paderewski Park, and I was supposed to leave on a Friday to get down to Florida for Monday. I was going to stay at a hotel and split the trip up, but I knew I was going to be without them because they had to close up the house and all the other stuff and finish packing and things like that, and my job couldn't wait. I had to get down there and get going. And the funny thing about it was that unfortunately I decided to try to squeeze every bit of time I could. So I ended up staying, and I was going to make the whole trip from Connecticut to Florida in one day. So we went to this park, and I remember just sitting on this hilltop here, because this was a hilltop, and there was an island here, and there was an area here, and then the back of the pond, or lake as it was in the back. And I remember we were there. It was the last thing that I ever did with the kids in Connecticut. I remember the sun being this color and this beautiful orange, and when the light dances with the clouds in the sky, and them just running around. And Mimi was, oh God, she was a baby, and the kids were running around. We went for ice cream beforehand, and I'm just sitting there and watching them, just knowing that I've got to get up around 3 a.m. and try to do all this traveling in one day. And I remember how tough it was, and we faced an unknown future. It was something that we didn't know what we were facing. We didn't know what we were running into. We didn't know if we were going to make it in Florida. We didn't know if we were going to, if the house was going to sell. And we had another house down there that we had to get, and that we have, well, this house here, that we were moving into, and can we swing everything, and can we do it, and the amount of pressure. And I think all of you know that feeling, that day-to-day feeling where it just feels like the weight of the world on your shoulders. And I took for granted how beautiful that particular day was. And I look at this painting, and it brings it back to me just sitting on that bank going, oh God, the dread of leaving my children, but the insurmountable beauty of this one little pond I used to take them to all the time, and how all the other times I took it for granted, but I didn't take it for granted this one day. But you couldn't enjoy it because of the overwhelming feeling that you had. We all get those feelings. We all do that. That's part of this channel, is to try to help people with those feelings and to overcome them, and to remember maybe there's just that moment for you that you have. That's the way I see things. The funny thing is, I got up at 3 o'clock that next morning, and I drove straight from Connecticut all the way to Florida. I left at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I arrived in Florida talking in some language that I didn't even know because I was delirious. I stopped long enough to pee and get gas. That was it. And I made it down there at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was absolutely exhausted. Got up, made it to work for 6 o'clock, and I slept pretty good that night. I'll tell you this much. Those first couple of days, that's another story and another painting. But the worst part about it was driving down, the air conditioning in the truck blew out. And I drove all the way in July. This was a July. With no air conditioning. But I made it. I faced everything that was put against me, and I overcame it. And this is just one of those moments in life that I'll never forget. And I decided to share it with you guys. I hope you enjoy the painting. It isn't perfect. I'm getting back into the swing of things. Last week wasn't good at all. This week's a little bit better. Next week will be even better. We'll get there. We'll get there, and we'll keep creating and pulling things from my mind and seeing if we can get back to Canvas Story. So that's 2 so far. Not bad. Hopefully maybe we can get 20 in this year. So, another Canvas Stories. And I think the moral of this whole story is, no matter how heavy your burden is, that there's always beauty around you. And if you're strong enough and you have the right and good people around you, like the people in this community, you can overcome anything. And remember the good things instead of the bad. Till next time, I'm Rob Warren. We'll see you soon.